coordinator Kevin Steele. We'll jump straight into questions.
Yeah, but I'll be the guinea pig here. That counter, seriously, the counter run play was obviously a big play in the game. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what was going on with that play? What adjustments maybe you tried to make, what didn't get right?
It's not real complicated. We've seen it all year. I mean, every game we've played, they've run the counter. The first thing is, obviously, you change the fronts up anyway in a game. So we did. We played the bare front against it. We played what would be called an under front against it, where the B gap bubble is open. Closed. We played an over front to it in which the B gap is open. All those are different fits. We played 41 snaps of middle field coverage, so we had a safety down in the box. Hat-wise, we had enough numbers. It wasn't a numbers issue. A couple of times we did not play the double team well. They doubled down. We had too much movement. A couple of times, at one time, we got up the field a little bit too much with the end, the edge setter or the spiller on it. But the big problem was we just didn't tackle very well. We just a lot of missed tackles in that area, a lot. I just didn't tackle him very well. Good back, but still got to tackle him.
How many times did they run it? It seemed
32.
Like, I was going to say, it seemed like
32. No, it wasn't every play because they played 70 snaps, but 32 of 70's a lot. Yep.
Has anybody ever done that before?
Yeah, remember I came up in the option game, so when you get against teams who can't throw it, they'll run the ball sometimes and run the same play a lot. Option teams back in the day ran the same play a lot. This day and age, you don't see. You see the zone play, you just don't talk about it as much because so many people run the zone play. There's times you come out of a game where they've run the zone play 17, 18, 19, 22 times. They may not have but 80 yards rushing, but they run it a lot. So, and that's their lead play. That's what he likes. And the back did a really good job. And we didn't tackle very well.
Why do you think that is? What happened with the tackling when you look at it?
Just didn't get them on the ground. It's fundamentals. It's coaching, and we've improved tackling very, considerably. Not where we want to be. I don't know that it ever is going to get where we want it to be in this day and age, just simply because of the practice time and the way you have to practice. But that's not making an excuse. That's just a fact. When you practice where you don't put anybody on the ground past August except on Saturday, and you're trying to teach something like that, you're not teaching it to its fullest extent. And that's something that as coaches, it's hard, but that's our job. Our job is to make sure we are a good tackling team, and we emphasize it. We have plenty of drills set up for it. We'll have plenty more this week, I'll promise you. But and then the other thing, hats off. He was a good running back.
Coach, I got the numbers right today.
Good for you. What you got?
He gave up 6 big plays against Florida State, and during this 4-game home winning streak, he gave up 19 plays
Right.
of 20 yards or more, with 8 of those plays going for over 40 yards.
That's where the crux is right there. Those 8 plays are the key. Yeah.
So what do you attest to that, and how do you get that fixed?
Well, if it was one thing, it would be an easy answer. It really would be. And you're exactly right. It's unacceptable. Like I told you, it's on me. One of those 8 was a 5-yard missed tackle, backside leverage, fell down. One of those plays was a miscommunication on an empty check, and so that was one of them. One of them was just a technique guy. The guy just technique at the line of scrimmage, and he got beat at technique. The other one, I hate to say this, but one of those was just, hey, hats off to him. It's a great play. Then I think the other night we had an issue where actually that was supposed to be double coverage, and so it wasn't egregious in that he was not relatively where he was supposed to be, but not totally where he was supposed to be. So, my answer to that is it would be a whole lot easier if you could say, okay, we've got a player that we have to help in coverage, but that's not the case. It would be very easy to say, okay, we don't play this coverage very well. We need to play this coverage more. That's not the case. They're all different. There's not one single one of those you're talking about, those 8 you're talking about that are, like you said, just, they're unacceptable. And it's on me, like I told you last week. And I'm glad you got the numbers, by the way. Now we're on the same page. They're not the same. And that makes it really, really hard because you fix something over here and you got a hole over here. And so it's just continue to work. Confidence, teaching, coaching, all those things put together.
When the team is able to run counter 30, almost half their offensive plays, how do you kind of keep the defense from getting disparate? I mean, it may have happened Saturday, but how do you get them back up for this week's game?
Well, like I've told you before, to this point, and we fully expect it. I mean, they came to work yesterday with a good attitude. We've not had that issue. They've been resilient in that fact. But at some point in time, we've got to get this thing turned to where we're not talking about it every 2 or 3 weeks. That's my responsibility, and you got to keep doing it. But it's really just confidence, and you got to work now. You got to work. Coach talks about that all the time. And these guys have been willing to work, but it's just putting the pieces together.
Anything else for Coach Steele?
It seems like, not to try to call anyone now, it seems like James Williams had a bit of a rough game on Saturday. Obviously, he has a ton of talent. Where do you want to see him kind of improve or work on next, for the remainder of the season, I guess?
Well, I mean, it's just like we don't talk specifically about guys. I just don't do that. You know that. But when you're a safety and you're part of the run game, I mean, that's a hard day's work now. It gets frustrating, particularly if there's success on the other side. But it was not James Williams' fault by any stretch of the imagination. So we've got a lot of things to work on. And James is the kind of guy, he's a tough guy. He's hard-nosed. Football's important. He loves the University of Miami. He comes to work every day. Sometimes some of the greatest hitters in the world have had days where they struck out, and it is just the way it is. I've seen that little quote sometimes where all the game-winning shots Michael Jordan have hit, but then there's another number of how many he missed. It's, sometimes the great ones have bad days.
You're having troubles with consistency. I know you don't want to talk individuals, but there are certain guys that look like All-Americans, say a week or two ago against Virginia. And then really,
well, I think this, and that's an easy question to answer. This is not checkers. The board is not painted exactly the same all the time, and you move square to square. That's not the way it works. And there's no play that ever looks the same defensively. Even those counters, sometimes the guy's pulling a little wider, sometimes a little tighter, sometimes he's a little high on it. Sometimes the thing came downhill, sometimes it was a little wider, sometimes it bounced. So you got to be real careful of saying, well, this guy had a bad day this week and played really good last week. Well, what did they run against him? What was he asked to do? People have strengths, people have weaknesses. So that's hard to rationalize defensively just because of the way offensive attacked you.
Great players find a way to get to the point where they can do it every week, no matter what is taking place. Is that
the ones that have done it for a long time? I mean, a long time. Where that's I wouldn't say great players. I've been around some really, what you would say, guys who didn't go on and play in the NFL 8, 9, 10 years, didn't make it in the NFL, but they had a lot of experience in what they were doing.
Coach, Georgia Tech's offense, let's talk about that a little bit.
Right. Well, they've had a little quarterback change, but offensively, Chip Long, their offensive play caller, he's been the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. He's very much like the 3 teams that we played in a row now, offensively, in terms of style. Virginia Tech, Virginia, and Florida State, a lot of similarities in what they did, and a lot. He's kind of off of that. So, but the quarterback change has been a little bit different because they're a little bit different styles.
Anything else for Coach Steele?
Oh, y'all got it. I got one,